All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast here with your host, Richard Fu from richardfu.com and The Ultimate Man. And today I have a special guest on here. I've been waiting to have this guy on this show for so long. Must have been 6 months now. His name is Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist. He's a best-selling author. And most of all, he's also an honorary recipient of the Goi Peace Award in honor of his scientific research and contribution to the world of harmony. Not only that, he's a lecturer. He's an internationally recognized leader in new biology, bridging that gap between science and the spiritual world. And I'm excited to have him on here on the show. So guys, please welcome Dr. Bruce Lipton. Bruce, good to have you on.
Richard, I am so thankful to be on your program because I know your audience is waking up to an evolution, that the world is changing, and that especially the younger generation, the millennial generation, are playing the most pivotal role in this evolution. And the fact is, they don't even know it because they're looking around going, geez, life's not really going really well, and I have such a tough time getting in. And the fact is, no, you don't want to be in, because the current civilization is in a state of collapse and a new civilization is forming, and it'll be really based on the millennial generation taking active control of their personal lives, and in so doing also taking control of the history of this world that is coming from this point on.
Oh, Bruce, I love what you're saying there. And so for the people who are listening to this show and haven't heard much about yourself and your amazing work here, could you give us a bit of a brief background into that?
Very briefly, I used to be a conventional professor in a medical school teaching medical doctors about the nature of how cells and biology work, tissues and organs and things like that. And while I was teaching in the medical school, what I was teaching at that time, that was back in the 70s, was a concept called genetic determinism, a belief that genes control the character of your life, not just your physical character, but your behavioral character, your emotional characters, and at the same time, we were also teaching that genes can gene turned off, meaning that genes were apparently controlling the expression, and we didn't control the genes. And I go, well, what does that mean? I say, well, then that makes you a victim of your heredity. If the genes control you and you don't control the genes, then the genes are going to determine what's going to happen in your life. If genes do that, and then you become a victim, what that means is your life is somewhat programmed by the genes, and that your positive or your negative aspects of your life, it's my genes that did this. And it's like, I was teaching that. At the same time, I was cloning stem cells. Now, this was back actually cloning stem cells in 1967. The reason why I bring up the date is that in 1967, there were only a handful of us in the entire world that even knew about stem cells, okay? And so I had the unique opportunity of cloning them, and that meant I'd put one cell in a petri dish all by itself, and it would divide every 10 or 12 hours, and after a week I have 50,000 cells in the petri dish. But the most important point is all of the cells came from one parent, so that meant I had 50,000 genetically identical cells. What I did is I split the cells up into three different petri dishes, chemical composition of the culture medium, which I synthesized in the laboratory. Culture medium is a laboratory equivalent of blood. So as I try to synthesize this blood, I can change some of the components. What I did is I created three different versions of culture medium with slightly chemical differences. And I fed the three different petri dishes, each with a different culture medium. And in one dish, the cells form muscle. In another dish, the cells form bone. In a third dish, the cells form fat cells. But now you have to remember this. You say, well, genes control this. I go, yeah, but wait, all of the cells had exactly the same genes. So what was the difference? Why did some form muscle in one dish and some form bone in a different dish? And the answer was, it wasn't the genetics of the cells. It was the environment in which the cells were growing, the chemical composition of the blood, in that case, synthetic blood. And by changing the composition, I changed the fate of the cells. So it's like, wait a minute. In the classroom, I'm saying genes control life. In my research, it says, no, all of the cells have the same genes. The thing that was different was the environment. And then said, oh my goodness, the environment is controlling life. And this was profound because it's like, why is it? The simple thing is this. If genes control your life, I said, then you're a victim of heredity, because as far as you know, you didn't pick the gene. You can't change the genes, and there you go. That's your life.
Yeah,
But in the
yeah.
laboratory, it says the environment. And I go, well, why is it relevant? Because I said, well, I'm the one that can change the environment. And if I change the environment, then I change the fate of the cells. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm not a victim of my genes. If anything, I'm a victim of my environment or my perception of the environment. That's what it comes out to. And I go, why is it relevant?
Yeah.
One story, old story, victim, new story, master. Well, that's a revolution. It was so profound. See, at the time, all of my colleagues were studying genes. That's when the Human Genome Project was being formed. And everyone thought genes control life. And there I am doing my research, and it's like cloning stem cells, which was unique at that time in the first place, but observing the fact that the environment was controlling the expression of the cells, the genetic activity. This observation was a precursor to what is now the leading edge of science. There's a change. The new science is called epigenetics. You go, well, it sounds like genetics. I go, when I say genetic control, old science, simply means controlled by genes. My fate, my emotions, my behaviors, my physical body, all controlled by genes, genetic control. But I say the new science is called epigenetic control. And it says, well, that sounds like the same thing. I go, no. Epi means above. So if I say epigenetic control, I'm actually saying control above the genes. It's like, genes don't control anything. The whole belief that a gene turns on and turns off is a false understanding that we carried for about 50 years until we now recognize, no, a gene is controlled by environmental signals. Change the environment and you change the activity of the genes. Not only that, but every gene that you have can be modified by environmental information. Listen to this. See, a gene is a blueprint to make a protein. A protein is what makes the body. So we're built out of building blocks called proteins, and the character of the proteins is coded in the DNA. So a DNA is a blueprint to make the protein. Now what we found is this. Not only does the blueprint make a protein, but the environment can alter the reading of the blueprint. Like with scissors and tape, I can take a blueprint and cut it up and then tape it back together in a different sequence. It's like, oh, it's a different blueprint. Here's the point, and it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Every gene in your body, I can create over 3,000 variations of the protein from that gene just by the way I respond to the environment. Point, I could come with a healthy gene and respond to a negative environment and change the reading of that gene and make a cancer gene. See, so we were thinking, oh, cancer is caused by a gene called the cancer gene. Turns out there is no cancer gene. Genes are associated with cancer, but there's two words that people, let's get these two words straight and then the world changes. There's a word causation and a word correlation. So we have been saying genes cause things. That means genes are instrumental in making it happen. I say, no, that was the wrong word. Genes are correlated with things, meaning in one environment, the gene will be healthy, but in another environment, it could be a cancer gene. It's like, wait a minute. I thought this was already pre-programmed. It's like, no, you adjust your genetics day all your genes. 90% of cancer is not even connected to genes. 90% of cancer is totally due to lifestyle. 90% of cardiovascular disease, the other bigger killer, has nothing to do with genetics, everything to do with lifestyle. Diabetes type 2, zero genetics, everything lifestyle. Why is this relevant? Almost everybody out there has been programmed with the belief that genes control them, and they don't control the genes, and therefore they believe everything that happens to their life is some way pre-programmed. And now we're finding out completely false. Genes do not control themselves. Genes are blueprints. You go into an architect's office, and let's say this architect is working on a blueprint. You lean over her shoulder and you ask her, is your blueprint on or off? And she'll look at you like, are you crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. I go, precisely. A gene is a blueprint, but it does not regulate itself. What's the point? Genes control nothing.
Yeah.
Well, after everybody's life is built around genes controlling, it's like, nope, refresh, reboot. Genes control that adjust genetics. In fact, the recent science reveals that genes are responsible for about 1% of disease. Stop. Genes are responsible for about 1% of disease. You said, where's the other 90+% of disease coming from? Stress. And why is that relevant? Because you can control stress. And if you can control stress, and you don't have to be a victim of stress, and if you're not a victim of stress, you can live without doctors. You can have a most fabulous life on this planet, because it really turns around who's responsible. And if you say genes are responsible, then you say, oh, well, I'm not responsible for my life because the genes do it. And now we go, refresh again. Why?
Yeah.
It's how you deal with life. Your beliefs about life, your perceptions of the world that you're in, they're the things that cause disease. And this changes the world because it removes us from looking at the health crisis that is affecting the world as, oh, humans are frail and humans are vulnerable and everything attacks them and they're weak and all that. And it's like absolutely false. We can walk across fire, you know. You can actually drink poison if you have a belief that the poison will not kill you. And I'm talking about like serious belief. People down in the South in the U.S. Work themselves up into a religious ecstasy, fundamentalists, and they start speaking tongues. They're called like crazy people, but they have a belief about God protecting them. This is just a real science. Yeah, they so strongly believe that God protects them. They do crazy things that no normal person would do, like play with poisonous snakes. They're called snake handlers. Okay. And they're testifying. The word testify means I will show you, I will do something crazy and God will protect me because I believe in God. So they play with these poisonous snakes. And in fact, very interestingly, just recently, only about a month or so ago, one of these snake handlers actually died from handling them. But up until then, most people have no effect when bitten by these poisonous snakes. Okay. But here's the one. Some testify, meaning I want to show you my belief in God. By drinking strychnine poison. Drinking strychnine poison, but with a total belief as God is protecting me. Now, this is not like 99% belief. No. It's sort of like pregnancy. You either are pregnant or you're not pregnant, but there's nothing in the middle right here, okay? You either believe or you don't believe. Those that believe that God protects them absolutely can drink strychnine poison and not have an effect from it. Why? Because the new biology reveals it's your consciousness and the way you deal with the world that controls your biology. And all of a sudden, this gives us the responsibility. I can change my life. I don't have to live with what I believed was a fate determined by my heredity, or my dad did it this way, or my mom did that, or this is passing through my family. It turns out, even cancer, for example, just to show you, they show that kids adopted into a family that has cancer running in that family, the adopted child will get the same family cancer as the other kids, but it came from totally different genetics.
What?
Yes, the cancer wasn't from the genes. It was the result of a lifestyle that imposes stress. And the body responds to stress by changing the genetics. That's epigenetics. It says, I will adjust my genes to fit the environment. And in a stressful environment, you absolutely are actually disempowering yourself because it has very negative effect on genes. I said 90% of the illness on this planet is not because of genetics. It's because of the way you are living. You go, oh, relevance, change the way you are living, and you change the biology. And that means you are the master. Okay? But there's a couple of secrets that I just didn't tell you right now to get that mastery, okay? Things I had to learn myself, you know, because I came from a conventional world of conventional science. I'm raised on Darwin, raised on genetics, and then my research is just like, the day I saw it, it was like, oh my God, I saw this new science, epigenetics. In 1967, the new science wasn't officially named until 1990. So I was like 23 years ahead of the conventional crowd because my research on cloning stem cells, as I said, people didn't even know what stem cells are. Now it's stem cells. Everybody knows stem cells. I go, yeah, when I did it, there was only a handful of people in the world that even knew about stem cells. So I was way ahead. Yeah. But what did I see? 23 years before the public was even exposed to it. How I live my life is what controls my genetics and my health and my future and my experience on this planet. Because when I started to recognize it, wait a minute. The idea that genes control our life, when I was studying my cells, said, no, genes don't control it because it's environment. Then I had to study how the environment was doing that. Yeah. And what I found out was the nervous system reads the environment, translates that environment into chemistry, so that our biology is in harmony with the environment. Yeah. And if it's in a negative environment, then my biology becoming in harmony with a negative environment is not very good for your health. Yep. If I live in a healthy environment and my genetics say, oh, I'm going to live in a healthy environment, then I am healthy myself. So we start to recognize, I saw this very early on. And the thing that really blew my mind was, the first thing was, oh my God, it's the environment controlling genetics. Change the environment, change your genetic activity. Wow. Yeah. Then the next thing as I was studying this was the blow-away thing. Because look, I grew up in science. I was not a spiritual person. There's no reason for spirituality in science. In fact, science says, look, we explain it without spirituality. Yeah. And the fact is, so I'm a non-spiritual, biomechanical. Yes, I'm a protein machine, and I live and then I die. Okay. But in understanding the brain of the cell not being the genes, it was the skin or the membrane that was reading the environmental signals, and then the skin took those signals and brought it into the cell and controlled the cell to respond to the environment. The skin is the source of the nervous system. In fact, in a human embryo, the nervous system comes from the skin. And why is this relevant? Because the one thing I noticed, and this is like, okay, you got to think about this, is crazy, all right? Yeah. No two people are the same biologically. Meaning, if I take my cells, Richard, and put it into your body, your immune system will say, not self, these cells aren't mine, and they'll destroy the cells. If
Even I take for identical twins?
What's that?
Even for
identical twins are closer, but they're not exactly the same. Oh. That's we're going to get to that. It's not exactly the same. Two people are slightly different. They're not the same people. Okay. They're actually born about 20 minutes apart. And you mean the time they were born is relevant? Yeah. You might refer to it as astrology. It's actually astrophysiology. Right. Because we are affected by the energy hitting the earth, which is the energy coming from the sun and the planets. And we read these energies. I mean, listen, a woman's menstrual cycle is not a coincidence that it is linked to the cycle of the moon. You mean a woman's behavior on planet Earth is tied into the movement of the moon? I go, yeah, sure it is. And I say, and not only is the moon, but other planets have effects. And so it turns out, yes, your environment that is controlling your genes is the physical one that we live in. Yeah, the physical place that I'm sitting right here, but there's an energy world around me. I'm floating in an aquarium of energy. Cell phone broadcast, television broadcast, radio I'm sitting in an energy field, right? Yeah. But the solar system has a massive energy field. The Earth's magnetic field, influenced by the other planets, affects who we are. That's a fact, okay? So the simple reality is no two people are the same. So I say, how do I know that? Because if I take anybody's cells and put it into your body, anybody else's cells, your immune system will say not self. So somewhere on the cells must be the name Bruce. Oh, those are Bruce's cells. They're not Richard's cells. So Richard's immune system says not Richard, gets rid of it. And so what was the point? Cells have your personal identity on them. Because if I put them in somebody else, the immune system will say these cells are not us. Yep. So where is the identity? As I started to look, it's like on the surface of our cells are little antennas. So there's a surface of the cell, and little antennas stick up from the surface. And these are just like television antennas. Well, most of them read things like nutrition, like sugar, calcium, potassium, estrogen, whatever's going on in the world. But there's one set of antennas on the surface of your cell that is unique to you, and no other person has this set. There's a group. It's like a combination lock. There's not one antenna, there's a series of them. And medicine calls them self-receptors, receivers of self. I say, where are these self-receptors? On the outside of the cell. So if they're antennas and they're receiving a signal, and the antennas are on the outside of the cell, where do you think the signal is coming from?
Outside.
Your identity is a broadcast picked up by these antennas and translated into the cell that controls the behavior of the cell. And the experiences of the cell are sent back through the same antennas to the source. Okay, wait a minute. My cells have my identity. If I put them into your body, Richard, your body's going to say Bruce's cells, and the immune system will get rid of it. Point. I take an enzyme and specifically cut off the antennas called self-receptors. Just cut those off. Now I transplant the cell into your body, but it's a human cell, whatever. It's a liver cell, bone cell, whatever it is. Your body goes, oh yeah, liver cell, I know these are. It has no name on it.
Yeah. So
if I take off my self-receptors and I can put that cell into any human, and it won't be rejected because it has no identity.
Right.
Here comes the neat part. I take my cell with my personal self-receptors, cut them off. If I put that cell into your body, are you still there? Okay. Yep. I transferred ownership of the cell by transferring the antennas. Now you say, well, the antennas are self. I say, no, the antennas are antennas. They receive a signal. So it's like what? Your cells in your body, most of them, except for your red blood cells, that's why you can transfer red blood cells from one person to another. They don't have the identity receptors on them, but your other cells do. And that's why I can't take your kidney and put it into my body, because your kidney has your antennas on it. My immune system will look at that kidney and go, this isn't us, and reject it. Now I say, yeah, so I transfer the antennas. Yeah, but the antennas are receiving a signal from outside. The point, your body has antennas tuned to a frequency that is different than anybody else's body, different than mine. And if I put your antennas on my body, then I become you.
Right.
You say, if I die, what happens? You ready? This is the part that you want to say, what changed my entire life? I go, then consider the analogy. A body is like a television set with antennas receiving a station. You're looking at the Bruce show in this 3D TV, okay? If I die, does that mean the broadcast stops? I say, well, look, take a TV. You're watching a show. The TV breaks. Oh, TV's dead. I say, is the broadcast still there? You say, yeah. I say, how do you know? Get another TV, plug it in, turn it on, tune it to the station, and the show is back on the air again. Point. Body is a 3D television set playing the Bruce show. Bruce dies. Is Bruce dead? Yeah, TV's dead. Bruce's TV's body's not working. But is Bruce still here? I go, if another embryo has the same set of these antennas that I have now, I'm back on again, but in a different TV. Does it have to be male or female? No, that's just the TV. What about white, black? No, that's the TV. That's not you. You are the broadcast. And all of a sudden, I started to realize, I can't die. I'm not even in here. I am a broadcast. And I come back again. That's called reincarnation.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have one life. If your TV dies, you can come back in a new TV if a new body has the same receptors that you have. All of a sudden I said, oh my God, I'm immortal. I can't die. Why? I am not in here. And then my mind got really crazy for a second because, look, I didn't believe in spirituality, but at this point, I looked at the nature of the membrane. I looked at the nature of the antennas. I go, I'm receiving a broadcast. And therefore, I am not this. I am the broadcast. So I asked this question to myself. At the first minute of this transformation, look, I'm not spiritual my whole life. Boom. 1 minute I look at it and go, oh my God, of course I'm an energy. I'm not this, I'm an energy. So immediately my whole life went not spiritual, spiritual. Without any religion or nothing like that. I didn't need that part. Matter of fact, that's what messes up things a lot.
Yeah.
We're all energies. And so I asked myself, first question, why have a spirit and a body? If I'm already spirit, what the heck do I need the body for? And 50 trillion cells that make up a human body, 50 trillion cells under my skin. Woo, the answer came up to my brain from the cells. I asked, why have this body? You know what the body said? It said, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? Think about that for a moment. What did it tell me? It was this. What taste, what I see, what I smell, what I hear, what I feel, my emotions. And that I say, oh my God, these are the translations of my world, translated by my body, by my nervous system. And guess what? My nervous system broadcasts my experience back to source. And you go, what are you talking about? I say, the idea that your brain is functioning, and I say, oh, I could read your brain. You've heard of putting wires on a person's head. It's called EEG, electroencephalography. Yeah, I read your brain. Why? Because the electrical activity of the brain connects it to the skin, and if I put electrodes on the skin, I could read brain activity. And I'd be like, oh, yeah. That's called electroencephalograph, EEG. There's a new technology called magnetoencephalograph, MEG. I go, what is it? Oh, it reads brain activity. Okay, yeah, but what? The probe is out here. It's not touching you. The probe is out here. And I said, what does that mean? I'm reading your brain activity out here. You think your thoughts are inside your head and private? No. Your thoughts are broadcast. I say, well, who's receiving it? I said, well, I think basically the main one receiving it is who's the signal coming in is receiving the signal coming back out. Mm-hmm. Okay. But the idea is this, other people can read those signals. That's why some people can read you. They can feel you. They got a vibe. Yeah, the vibe. It's vibration. That's what's being felt. Good vibes and bad vibes. People vibrate. Mm-hmm. People with a very negative kind of life have bad vibes. Yep. People with a very harmonious have more powerful, harmonious vibes, good vibes. Mm-hmm. I say, why is it relevant? Vibration is energy. Energy is related to life. Simple. You got energy, you got life. You got no energy, you got no life. Why is it relevant? Because we as individuals, before we learn language, every organism on this planet, from bacteria to humans, the first level of communication is not language. The first level of communication is vibration. You feel before you learn language. I say, what are you feeling? Well, if you feel good vibes, that means wherever you are, the energy is good. And this enhances your life. But let's say you find yourself in a city and you don't know where you are and you feel lost and all of a sudden you feel the energy go, you feel weak, you feel vulnerable. I say, bad vibes. I say, what is bad vibes? The environment you're in is not supporting you. Mm-hmm. If it supported you, it would enhance your energy. But if it's not supporting you, it takes away your energy. So I say, even a bacterium, a snail, knows where to go. Not because there was a school that said, listen, go over in this direction and don't go this way. There's no school. So how does a snail know? Is it good to go this way for my life or is it bad? And the answer is vibes. If it's going in a direction, going toward good vibes. But if it all of a sudden goes in a place that feels bad vibes, the energy says, don't go here, go the other way. And the snail will turn around and go the other way. Why? Because bad vibes means you're losing energy, meaning you're losing your life. So we as humans have always required language. And I go, that's your first mistake. The first thing is you can read the environment. You can read the environment by the energy in the environment. All you have to do is stop using your head for a while and go to your heart.
Yes.
The heart says, hey, I feel good. Yeah, I feel good. Good vibes. If your heart's like, I'm not sure, then you better be careful, because your heart is saying the energy around you is not supporting you. Okay? So vibes are the primary meaning of communication. You read people. That's what I'm saying. Why? Because their thoughts are not contained in their head. They're vibes. And if you tune into a person's vibes, the closer you become to a friend, the more you can read their vibes. Guess what? You can have a conversation with somebody. An outsider would listen to the conversation. Not one sentence got completed. The other person in the conversation already, oh, would you like to? And the other person, yeah. Yeah, what? Oh, you're going to say, would you like to go here? And I say, yeah, I already knew you were going to say that. How'd you know that? I already know. I'm close enough that I can feel what you are thinking. And that's when people get close enough, they know each other. Okay? Outsiders don't know. So an outsider listening to a conversation, would you like, and before they even finish, the other person says yes. And the outsider's going, yes to what? Because the two people that are involved. So I say, why is this relevant? We have made a story of our life by listening to people's opinions, stories, whatever they want to offer, and we take their words and we consciously think about it. And then we make decisions based on the words. I go, a person can rip you off. All they have to have is some beautiful words. Hey, come on, my friend, listen, invest in this. You're going to make $100 million. It's the best thing ever, and you give them your money and they disappear. It's like, and I go, if you stop listening to them before you listen to them and you just said, give me a vibe, let me feel, how do I feel around this person? If you don't feel like, I feel high around this person, good vibes, that's great. But if you don't feel the vibe, it means this person is not supporting you. So whatever the words are, don't listen to the words, listen to the vibes. It's interesting because the Chinese have had feng shui for thousands of years. Why? Everything in the world gives off a vibe. And they already knew that you have a vibe, yes, but your surroundings have a vibe. And they understood a long time ago, if I surround myself with things that vibrate in harmony with me, then when I walk into that room, I have extra energy, good vibes. Why? Because the vibes around add to my energy. You could go to somebody else's house and walk in and feel, yeah, look at that. Oh, this is so ugly in this house. It doesn't conform to you. You feel bad vibes. The harmony is not with you. So instead of always using our minds to make decisions, I have learned one of the most important things is just, yeah, you can use your mind to decide I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. But I also do this now. Before I absolutely make any final decision, yeah, I've gone through my head, thought about the consciousness of it. But before I make the decision, I always ask my heart. I always ask my heart first. How do you feel about it? Is this good? Is this pulling you? Is this vibe taking you? Or is this vibe not taking you? If it's not taking you, bottom line is I trust my heart before I trust my brain. And I'll tell you why. I think it was a course, algebra, that we all took in school. And there was a part of that course where you got this very long equation, and the idea was to reduce the equation, reduce it till you can get it small. So you start with the equation at the top of the page, big, long equation. And the first step, you reduce it a little bit. Then you reduce it again where you see another way. And you reduce it, and you go down the page, boom, 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 boom. And at the bottom, you get the answer. So I go, if every decision from step one to the bottom was right, the answer at the bottom is right. But if you make one stupid little error in the entire decision process, the answer at the bottom is wrong. I go, wow. Yeah, I learned that in algebra because making a decimal point go from one place to another place, the answer is not the same at the end, okay? I say, so what's the difference in making a decision with your heart and with your mind? And the answer is this. With your mind, you do algebra. Yeah, if that happens, this happens, and if that happens, this happens, and this will happen, and that will happen. And then you get to the bottom and you say, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. And I go, well, that's cool if every one of the steps was accurate and correct.
Yes.
But in the process, if you make part of your decision on something that was not exactly accurate, you thought it was true, but it turns out not necessarily true. You made a reasonable, rational decision based on your belief. You get to the bottom, the answer is wrong because you didn't realize one step out of 20 was just wrong. I say, okay, now what's different about the heart? The heart doesn't do the steps. The heart doesn't even care about the steps. The heart looks at what is the conclusion? What is this without thinking about it? And the answer is, it's a vibration. It's all a vibration. And the heart just looks at the vibration and goes, is that vibration in harmony with me or in disharmony with me? Is it good vibes? If it's good vibes, this is going to energize my life and this is a good decision. If it's bad vibes, it goes, no, this is not good for me. So the idea is this, okay, do all the rational thinking, come to your conclusion, but then before you make your final decision, you check in with your heart and you say, is this really what I want to do? Is this really don't try thinking about it. Then you're going back up in your head. Feel it. Is this really what I want to do? How do you feel? Make your decision on that one because it just reads vibes. It doesn't do any of the steps in between. It just says, is the vibe in harmony or is the vibe in disharmony? Answer, go with harmony, avoid disharmony. And the answers will then work out. And so it says, we have been programmed to be thinking when it's like, no, the answers were felt, not by thinking, but feeling. When I tell people in my lecture, I say, because I got more women in the lecture, I address the issue more like that. And I say, look, there's a big shoe sale at one of the big department stores. Mm-hmm. That always gets them right there. I go, okay, big shoe sale. I go, 10 pair of shoes. They're all exactly the same price, different styles, and you can get them in any size or color, so that's not the point. They're all the same price. You have 10 styles. I say, pick one. They end up picking one. I say, so what told me actually what was the final decision based on? It wasn't based on price. They're all the same. It wasn't based on color or size. They're all available. I said, what was it? And here's the conclusion. You ready? This pair made me feel good. I felt good. I had a feeling. I go, precisely. You chose the shoes, not on any conscious because the stitching was better on this one or something. You chose it because this style had feeling. I feel it. Bottom line, basically how you should do all your decisions. I chose it because of feeling. Because feeling doesn't lie. Words lie. And therefore, we have to learn that, okay? So there was this incident in my life, and I said, oh my God, I'm not in here. I'm an energy being picked up. And I say, why have it? And I say, because my body is translating my environment into sensation. Love, pain, sweet, bitter, sensation. But the sensation is neurologically a vibration that is sent out to the source. That's why when my cell said, what does chocolate taste like to a spirit? And the answer is, spirit has no taste receptors. So spirit has no ability to understand taste. You want to understand taste? First you have to use this machine. Then taste will be translated into a vibration, sent back to source. Now, if that's losing people, this will tie it together. You ready? This is real exciting.
Throw it to us, Bruce. Give it to us.
I want to know what Mars is like. Geez, what would it be like to live on Mars? I said, I can't get there. But we can send up a rocket. So I say, okay, let's send up something called the Mars rover. I go, what's that? What's like a go-kart with a lot of electronic stuff on it? I go, you know what that is? It's the equivalent of a human. Meaning what? It can move around. It's got cameras to see. It's got sense receptors, tell you what the temperature is. It's got receptors to read what's the air composition. It's got receptors to taste the soil. They tasted the soil. What's it made out of? Okay. They're getting an experience of Mars, not through a person, but through a device that reads the environment like a person. I said, so how does it work? There's a guy at NASA. He sends up a signal. On the Mars rover is an antenna that receives that signal. Then he sends information, drive here, drive there. As he's driving, the rover's got cameras and signals. So as he's driving, guess what? The rover's sending back through the same antenna a signal back to the guy at NASA. So guy at NASA says, oh, wow, it's really cold there. Look at that temperature. Ooh, the air, you can't breathe the air here. But you can, oh, look at the soil is made out of this, so you can do this. Oh, I'm getting an experience of what it's like to live on Mars. I'm not on Mars. I'm in NASA. Okay? Then I go, the batteries on the rover die. You go, the rover's dead. The joke that I extend to my lecture, I say, is some Martians find the rover. And it's like, oh, an alien. And the Martians take the alien to school and show everybody, look, it's like E.T., a little alien, the machine. Why? Because when it goes to school and the cameras show all the people, the Martians, the guy at NASA can see this and he can make a response. So now this rover is actually making a response to the Martians because it can blink the lights or do something, right? I go, to the Martians, that's the living thing. That rover is like, oh my God, it's a living thing. It looks kind of funny, but it moves and it talks and it's a living thing. So the Martians are real excited with this little ET. And then the batteries die and the rover is not moving anymore. And to the Martians, oh, our ET is dead. It's not working. It's dead. The guy at NASA is still alive. So what's he going to do? He's going to send up another rover right away with some more complicated gear than the previous one. And then it'll show back up on the planet. A new entity has shown up on the planet. An ET, another one, slightly different than the other one. It's a different one. No, it's the same guy at NASA. Point. We want to know what life is like on Earth. We're a broadcast from somewhere else. There's a NASA wherever we're coming from. Each of us is an Earth rover. Each of us has an antenna to pick up the broadcast, drive this vehicle around, move it, make it do things, experience. Oh, don't put your hand in the fire. That'll burn. Okay. Oh, sugar. That's sweet. You learn. Okay. But it sends the information back to your source, not here. Your spirit, NASA, wherever. And then you come back again, but next time your rover is a little different. It's an Earth rover. Okay? Now the bottom conclusion. We have been programmed to believe that you live your life on this planet, and if you do well, morally well, according to church, you can go to heaven. Somewhere out there. And I go, how about this one? Biggest cosmic joke in the world. This is heaven. You come here as a spirit wishing to, with an intention. What would you like? What would you like to have? And you come into this body and you move this body around because you can make it go left and right and you can make it do anything. This is a virtual reality suit. You jump into this suit. Not only can you see and move, but now I can experience pain, love, a smell of a rose, a picture of a sunset. Why? This is a machine that manifests. I said, this is heaven. This is where you came to create. This is where you can get in this body and you say, I want to do this. Then go and do it. Create it. And all of a sudden you say, but it sure as hell doesn't look like heaven out here. It looks more like hell. I go, the secret, and this is what I learned through the research, is to make the vehicle work. When you jump into the vehicle, you have to have at least some programming. If you don't have any programming, you don't know how to do anything. How do you move this arm? When you were an infant, you didn't know how to move that arm. You had to learn to move the arm, make them come together, close your eyes. You had to learn these movements. That was infancy, learning how to stand up and walk, okay? But how do you respond to the world? Well, you had to learn that. I say, well, how do you learn? I say, when you come in, let me give an analogy. Everyone will understand this.
Yeah.
The analogy is this. I get a new iPod. I go to the Apple store. I get a new iPod. I take it out of the box. On the front of the iPod is the touch screen. The touch screen is creativity. I learn how to make a playlist. I can adjust the volume. I can adjust the EQ, fast forward, reverse. I can play it myself, my hands on the wheel. I can create and play. Mm-hmm. I say, so I get this brand new iPod. I walk out of the Apple store. I open the box. I open it up and I push play on the screen. Nothing happens. Now I'm really upset. They sold me a stupid iPod. Doesn't even work. And this little 5-year-old kid next to me looks up and goes, hey, mister, you can't play any music until you download some music. Oh, I can't be creative unless I have a program. Mm. When we are born, the mind is like the iPod. If you were conscious the moment you were born, just say a baby could speak, coming out of the birth canal, your first breath, and we say, hey, tell us something to the baby. And the baby looks up at you going, I don't know anything. I just got here. Why? No data. There's no data in the memory. Yep. So I say, how do you learn how to behave? Oh, fact. The first 7 years of your life, you are not operating from conscious brain processing. You're operating from a lower vibration, EEG, wires on the head. Mm-hmm. The vibration is called theta. Theta is imagination. First 7 years, your brain is operating below consciousness and it expresses as imagination. This is how kids can have imagination and mix imagination and real world. The mother says, give me the broom. And the kid is riding the broom like a horse and looks at the mother. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a horse. At that moment, to that kid, the broom is the horse. They're riding it. They're talking to it. And it's like, so they're mixing imagination and reality. That's theta. 7 years. Theta is hypnosis. For what? How many, just stop and do a mathematical calculation. How many rules do you have to understand to be a functional member of a family and a community? Thousands. Mm. How you talk to a kid is different than you talk to an adult. It's even different than you talk to the policeman. Mm. How you talk to different people is a different behavior. You have to learn all these behaviors. You have to learn every nuance of how to behave like a normal person. I say, how do you learn that? 100,000 facts. First 7 years, brain is in theta. Brain is in hypnosis. What does it do? It observes the mother, the father, the siblings, the community, recording, video recorder. That's what it is. 7 years on video recorder. Everybody, I'm recording your behavior. I'm recording my father's behavior. Why? Because when I see how he talks to a child, I'm going to learn how to talk to a child that way. But when I watch him talk to a policeman, he talks very differently to a policeman. So I got to learn that. That's a different one. He talks differently to my mom than to other women. Oh, that's another way of talking. I go, how do I learn this? I watch. First 7 years, this is the most critical. Hello out there, people. Critical. The first 7 years of your life, you learn behavior by downloading other people's behavior. Your mother, your father, siblings, etc. Relevance, the behaviors as programs in your subconscious mind did not come from you.
Yes.
They're other people's behaviors.
Yes.
And they were not filtered by your conscious mind because the conscious mind didn't kick in until age 7. So you could have some really crappy behaviors in there that your conscious mind, if it was alert, would go, oh, I don't want that. But your conscious mind wasn't there. So you recorded good behaviors and crappy behaviors. You recorded all kinds of behaviors. The story about a child adopted into a cancer family learned that the behavior of the people that gave rise to cancer actually created stress. And they learned that stress behavior. So when they learned the stress behavior, they got the cancer. Not because the cells were cancerous, it's because the stress behavior caused the cancer. So they learned behavior and then learned cancer. Okay? Cardiovascular disease. Oh, your father didn't deal well with stress? You probably don't deal with stress either. Okay? Yeah. So now I have to wrap this because this is coming to a serious conclusion here.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard, so here's the point. The conscious mind is you, makes you different than everybody else. It's your spirit connecting to your brain, conscious mind. Subconscious mind, 90%. Record playback. It's just programs. It's habits. Fundamental habits, not even yours. You got them from your mother and father. In fact, in my lecture, I always give the same story. In my lecture, I say, listen, you probably had a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you happen to know your friend's parent, and you see your friend has the same behavior as their parent. This excites you. You want to tell your friend. You go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. Bill goes ballistic. How the hell can you compare me to my dad? And everyone in the audience laughs because they're familiar. And I go, most profound story in the world, and it is this. Everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Where did he get the behavior? He downloaded it in the first 7 years. Then how come he doesn't see it? And here it goes. You ready? Everyone out there, wake up for this. The conscious mind is creative. It has your wishes and desires. Richard, what do you want out of your life? If you're going to give me what you want that you don't have right now, by definition, you're being creative. You're making an image of something that doesn't exist. And you were going to say, I'm going to go toward that image. So that's called creativity. I say, that's conscious mind. I go, okay, so conscious mind is when you have your hands on the wheel and you're driving your life. Wishes, I want this, I want this, I want this. I go, great. Now comes the monkey wrench that breaks the whole system. You ready? When you're conscious and you're driving the vehicle, you're moving toward wishes and desires. But, if you're thinking, you're not paying attention. Point. Richard, what are you doing on Friday at 2 o'clock? If you're going to seriously answer that question, Richard, where the heck is the answer? It's not out here. Answer's in here.
Yeah.
When you are thinking, you redirect consciousness to thoughts inside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does that mean if I'm walking down the street and I have a thought, I stop, have a thought? Okay, once I've finished my thought, I put my hands on the wheel, I drive again? No. The subconscious is default. The subconscious is autopilot. Hey, the subconscious knows how to walk. It knows how to drive the car. It knows anything that you've done enough times that you repeat it, that it's a habit. So if I'm walking down the street and I have a thought, I don't stop walking. My subconscious takes over at this point and will drive me. Scary number coming. Attention, scary number coming. How much of the time are we in thought? Science has recognized we're in thought 95% of the time. Point. If you're in thought 95% of the time, then you do not have your hands on the wheel driving your biological body vehicle. If you're in thought, the default is subconscious. If you're in thought 95% of the day, then your life is 95% coming from the programs in the subconscious. I go, crap. Psychologists have already told us 70% or more of the programs in the first 7 years are disempowering, self-sabotaging, self-critical. I go, relevance? 95% of the day, you think you're driving your life toward wishes, health, wealth, love. That's where I want to go. I go, great. But 95% of the day, you're in thought, and your subconscious is now driving the vehicle. I go, yeah, but the behavior of that is not from my conscious mind. It's from my parents and my family. I go, but I don't want their behaviors. Their lives suck. What the hell I want to do what they did? And the point is, yeah, but I don't care what you wanted. The first 7 years, you've got programmed to do those behaviors. And you only play them when you're not paying attention, when you're thinking 95% of the day. And the result is a problem. Bill, for example. Bill is, everyone can see Bill behaves like his father. He got it in the 7-year period downloaded. Why doesn't Bill see it? Because he only plays that behavior when he's thinking. And when he's thinking, his conscious mind is focusing on the thought. And therefore, it's not focusing on the behavior. And so by nature, subconscious means the behavior that's coming out of there below conscious is playing when conscious isn't even paying attention. So this means every one of us is Bill. Every one of us every day is playing 95% of our behavior from the programs that we got in the first 7 years, and most of that is negative, disempowering, and self-sabotaging. By psychologists, I'll tell you that. That means you have great wishes, but you're only going toward it 5% of the day. You're going to have trouble getting there, and you're going to struggle. And the problem with the struggle is you see your mission. I want success. And then you see it not happening. And then you go, the universe isn't my friend. The universe isn't helping me because something is preventing me and I don't know what it is. It's not me. Why? I'm the one with the wish for success, so it's not me. And I go, yeah, there's the problem. Subconscious was invisible. You were sabotaging yourself 95% of the day without you being aware of that behavior. Bill blasting, what do you mean I'm like my father? And everybody else can see it. We're Bill. 95% of my behavior is not coming from my creative wishes and desires, coming from my subconscious. And then becomes the important question. It's like, am I stuck with this behavior? And how do I know what these behaviors are? You know why? The program went in before I was conscious. If I ask you, hey, Richard, what did you learn when you were 1 year old? I don't know what I wasn't even there when I was 1 year old. What'd you learn? What'd you learn? They said, I don't know. Guess what? You were programmed. And now you're going to have to say, I don't even know what the hell those programs are. So let's make everything easy for everyone in the audience. Here we go. Audience, listen. 95% of your life is coming from the subconscious. Your life is a printout of your programs. You are living programs. So you want to know what the programs are? Look at your life. Point. Everything that comes easy into your life that you like, it comes in easy because you have a program to accept that. In contrast, wake up here. Anything you work hard at, anything you struggle over, anything you sweat over to make it happen, anything you put a lot of effort in to make it happen, why you're working so hard? Answer? Because that thing you're trying to get doesn't conform to the program. And you're trying to make it happen against a program that doesn't support it. So you have a competition. The conscious mind saying, I want this. And the subconscious, 95% of the day saying, you can't have that. Because it's not our belief system. So your struggle is a reflection of the programs that don't support you. So if you don't need to go to a shrink to say, how come my life turned out this way? Look at your life, analyze the things that you like that come in, don't mess with it. You already got the programs. That's how you got them. Things you struggle for because they're not happening, you're struggling because there's a belief system built in your subconscious in the first 7 years that does not support that conclusion. And therefore, you are not fighting an invisible world out there. You're fighting the invisible world in here. If you change the subconscious and change the program, your life can change on a dime. The only problem is this. We thought the conscious and subconscious were the same mind. So that if I educate the conscious mind, oh, I read a self-help book. Well, I got real smart. I went to a lecture by famous Dr. Lipton. And it was real smart. I learned a lot. I go, did your life change after you read the book? Did your life change after the lecture? No. Here's the point. The conscious mind learns in a different way than the subconscious. I can teach the conscious mind, creative mind, using creative means. Read the self-help book. Yeah, conscious mind. I could take a test. I can tell you what I read in a book. I go, great. I know your conscious mind knows the book, but your life didn't change. And I go, because subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. Subconscious mind's a habit mind, not a creative mind. It learns in a different way. What's the point? We all get smart every day. Oh, yeah. Oh, if you do this, if you live this way, if you eat this way, if you behave this way, this will be really good. And so you know how to do it, but your life is not doing it. I say, why? You're not operating from your conscious mind. You're operating from your subconscious mind. You've educated your conscious mind but it's not controlling the subconscious mind. So all that education has not changed your life. The one time, and so for my wonderful audience out there, if this is sounding kind of interesting, let me tell you how interesting it is. Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
The Matrix is not science fiction. The Matrix is a documentary. Every one of us has been programmed. There's not one person on this planet that missed the first 7 years of programming and was able to function. And the reality is this: every one of us got programmed for 7 years. The Jesuits, they boasted about knowing this for 400 years. They told people they were being programmed. People didn't even understand what they were saying. Here's what the Jesuits say. This is a saying in the church. Give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. People, what does that mean? That meant, give me the child's education for 7 years and I will control the outcome, because they will manifest that program that I program them with. 95% of the time, their lives will become the program. Give me a child for 7 years, I will show you the man. For 400 years, they knew that. They're not the only ones that know that. The people that run this world know that, and they have programmed us to be powerless. Because if we are powerless, they have power. Everybody has equal power, start off day one. But if you take away the power from other people, then those that lose the power look at those with the power and go, wow, those are powerful people. I go, well, you were powerful people, but the first 7 years, they took away your power. You can't do this. You're not good at this. You don't know how to do this. Somebody else will do it, not you. You don't take care of your health. A doctor takes care of your health. No, don't take care of your spirituality. Church will take care of your spirituality. It's like they took away your power. And then you pay for it. You want to have some spirituality? How much is that going to cost? Tithing, 10%. Okay. Medical doctors, you want your health back? How much is that going to cost? More than 25%. I go, was I in need of the doctor? No, actually not. But your consciousness is creating stress, and the stress will break down your machine. And if you don't eliminate the stress, then you're going to need to see the doctor. You didn't need to see the doctor without the stress. So and the wishes and desires of your conscious are in conflict. Conscious is going to win. It's going to irritate the hell out of you. Why? Because you're going to sabotage your life, and you're the one that's not even seeing. You're the one that's doing it. You want your power? You got to reprogram. And just reading a self-help book and stuff like that, that doesn't do it. There are ways to reprogram. I can only mention it now because we need another hour. But self-hypnosis, when you put earphones on when you go to bed, as you're going to sleep, you go through theta as you're going into sleep, which is the hypnosis. So as you put the earphones on, just as soon as your consciousness disconnects, you're in theta. So if their program is going on in the earphones, just like when you were before 7, program's not going in the conscious mind, it's going into the subconscious mind. So you can reprogram with earphones at night. You want to make a program, it's called the habit mind. Well, then you got to make a habit to manifest what you want. You say, yeah, but what I want, I don't have. And I go, fake it till you make it. You want to be happy? Pretend you're happy. Just keep telling yourself, I'm happy. I'm happy. And guess what? A habit. You keep repeating it. One day you start to realize, I'm happy, and I didn't even say it. You got happiness. And then the most effective thing is there are new psychologies called energy psychology, which is a godsend for this reason. Using these new psychological modalities, you can rewrite limiting programs in about 10 minutes. You can recapture your life. And I said, what programs do you want to rewrite? I said, look at your life and just tell me where you're having a struggle and take those and turn them into a positive program instead of a negative program, and then you can reprogram. So the point is this. Your life at this moment has not been sabotaged by outside forces. Your life has been sabotaged by subconscious programming you got in the first 7 years. And like the Matrix, you've been programmed. But in the Matrix, just to close with, you were given an option, take a blue pill or the red pill. If you take the blue pill, you wake up in the morning and life is just the way it's always been. But if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. I say, wow, what would it be like to take the red pill? You ready? For those in this audience who have ever fallen in love, if it only lasted a week, I don't really care. You fell in love. I'm going to say your life was crap. And then you meet this person. And the next day you're in love. And now it's heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Crap. 20 years. Fall in love. Next day, heaven on earth. What happened? Falling in love is the equivalent of taking the red pill. When you fall in love, you stay mindful. Staying mindful means you don't start thinking a lot. You're present at the moment. I go, you found this person you've always been looking for. What the hell do you want to spend your time thinking? You want to be here now with this person. So when you fall in love like that, the next period of your life is being here now, enjoying the pleasure of this life, enjoying the pleasure of this company, enjoying it. I say, what did you do? The first, when you fell in love, you stopped playing the program. I say, well, what happened to stop playing the program? Life became heaven on earth. Yeah, that was the destination if you didn't have the negative program in the first place. So when you fell in love, it was a red pill. I say, your whole life changed. When you didn't do the program, life for you was heaven on earth. Destination, you can reprogram the subconscious mind to get rid of the negative programmings and put in programs that match your wishes and desires so that your subconscious mind has the same wishes and desires as your conscious mind. The point is, then if you're thinking, when the subconscious takes over, it's still going to play the honeymoon. It's still going to play heaven on earth. Meaning, you could have heaven on earth every day of your life for as long as you live on this planet. Once you reprogram the negative programming that affects us and everyone, up to 70% or more, negative, invisible. Bill going, what do you mean I'm like my father, even though his life is his father's life? Every one of you out there recognize you are a powerful creator. But to create, you have to have your hands on the wheel. You have to have your consciousness driving the vehicle. If you're in the thought process, which everyone is, then recognize you're on autopilot. And the autopilot was programmed by other people, not by you. So it's going to take you in a direction other than where you want to go. You want to go somewhere in this world? Rewrite the program. Does it work? Well, all I can say is as an experiment, because my program that I live with now is not the program I came with. When I changed the program, my life has profoundly changed. I'm living a honeymoon experience every day now for 20 years. I wake up every day and go, oh my God, I'm back in beautiful heaven again. To do what? To have joy, to have pleasure, to have friends, to enjoy the experiences of everything offered, because that's why we were here. That's what my cells told me when I said, why have a spirit and a body? Because the cell said, you want experiences? Here's the machine, baby. You want to feel love? Love is coming from the machine, breaking down chemistry and giving you vibration of what love feels like. Vision, that's a machine translating the environment into a signal that is broadcast back. And the idea is this: we don't die and go to heaven. We were born into heaven. If your parents knew the kind of stuff that I'm talking about now, then from day one, you would have gotten off the ground with subconscious programmings that would have made your life the most powerful, fantastic thing you've ever could have seen. If you were programmed with a parent that said, you are the most powerful, loving, wonderful, beautiful person, you could do anything on this planet. You can do anything. If that was your subconscious program, you would grow up being one of the most powerful people on this planet, because you would have no doubt about your limitations. Can I walk across the fire? If you have doubt, don't even try to walk across the fire. You're going to get burned. The only people who walk across the fire have consciously transitioned that doubt and said, I'm not being affected by it. And they can walk across the fire. They change their reality, and you can watch them walk across the fire. And if you try it yourself, get a lot of bandages. Because if you don't have that consciousness, you're going to get burned. I say, consciousness? I go, it's creating everything. And you want heaven on earth. If you have a limitation, it is not you, your spirit, or your power that is the problem. If you have a limitation, It's your programming, your subconscious, that you got behavior from other people. The matrix. Take the red pill. Become mindful. It's very hard to do. That's why something special like that person coming into your life is like, that'll keep your mind not focused. But in our regular world, it's very difficult to be mindful because there's so many demands on your thoughts. What are you going to do? Your chores? What's next? Where am I going? What has been done? Your mind's in thinking all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult process. So rather than trying to stay mindful, which is harder, it's easier to rewrite the subconscious. And then to rewrite it, look at your life and just tell me where your struggle is. And I'll tell you, that's where you have a program that is manifesting struggle. Rewrite that particular program, that struggle will disappear. And then you will become all-powerful in creating. And this is the destination for all of us. Knowledge is power. Without this knowledge that I am talking about, you have no power. No knowledge, no power. This is knowledge for you. You are a creator. Unfortunately, you handed the creation over to the programmer. And if the programmer doesn't have good programs, not because they have intended for you to be no good, their parents gave them bad programs. And your grandparents gave your grandparent, whatever, down the line. It's passed from family to family. The program comes from the family. You want to make a disconnect? Take your own power back. Look at your life. Say, I need to change these programs. And when I do, then even when I'm thinking, my new program will support my heaven on earth rather than compromise it. Richard, I wish I had another 10 hours. I go into all the deeper details.
We can see
but
that.
My website is simple. It's brucelipton.com. There are lots of resources on there, things that we talked about, expanded on, videos, interviews, written articles, resources about the new psychology on belief change. That's under the resources. These are opportunities for you to what? To get knowledge. With knowledge, you have power. And that's, I can just leave you with that, saying it is worth everything in the world to take your power back. It is worth everything because you manifest heaven. Without their programs, life is beautiful. So, millennial generation, the older generation were screwed, but you don't have to be. You change your consciousness and the world will evolve in front of you, very different from the world you're in right now. You have to get your power back before the world changes. If you don't get your power back, the world can change, but you won't. You have to have your power. So to me, that, Richard, is, man, take that lesson home because it's a heck of a lot more fun on this planet when you can control this. Because when you can't control it, it's just like, oh, what's happening?
Exactly, Bruce. And I want to say, Bruce, thank you so much for what you've shared. I mean, we've gone longer than we normally would, and it's amazing because you were just on the roll. You're just burning that fire, and I loved it so much.
I so appreciate, Richard, as I said, this is my little window of opportunity to talk to this audience, and I want this audience to know they are so much more powerful. And when they look at the world and they see themselves as victims, it's not victims because of the outside. It's victims because of the inside.
Exactly.
Take control of that, and you are the master. And that's where we're all heading toward, mastery. Because if everyone on the planet seeks heaven, it is heaven.
Yeah, just going to be mindful of it. And so, guys, this wraps up this episode here with Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you want more resources and the show notes to this, head on over to richardfood.com where we're going to share that. And of course, guys, remember to go out there, go live with love. Just smash it. And I'll see you again on the next one.